Hi, everybody, and welcome to our next offer holder webinar for Newcastle University Business School. My name is Paul Campbell. I am Head of Engagement, Recruitment and Marketing at the Business School. I'm joined by my colleague, Chris Roberts, who is our Alumni Relations Manager. And we have got some alumni joining this call as well, who will take part in a panel discussion to give you their insights. They were in your position maybe a year ago or 2 years ago, deciding what university to go to. So they're going to share their decision-making process, what that then looked like whenever they came to study with us, and maybe even give you some tips and insights of how to get the most out of studying in Newcastle if you choose to come to this wonderful city and brilliant business school. So this webinar is a part of a series, and you might have seen some of these. You might not have been able to see some of these, but they all have been recorded. So we've had some sessions from our careers team already, just outlining some of the career support available to you. We've had talks on sustainability within the business school and university. The last talk we had was all about living and having a career in Newcastle, so the city and the region itself. So it's really interesting if you want to watch that recording. And then we've got a couple of upcoming webinars, including a talk focusing on finance careers, a talk on transitioning from UG to PG studies, which some people will be going through that decision-making process. I think Lydia went through that, who's joining us for the alumni panel, so she can maybe share her insights into that. And then finally, we'll have our final offer holder webinar on the 3rd of July, talking about planning for the first term. So that's really thinking ahead to what your career or what the first couple of months in Newcastle might look like. As well. But just a bit of an insight again of these slides we present at the start of all of our offer holder webinars just about Newcastle. So we are based in the United Kingdom, but we're based in England and the north of England, so very close to the Scottish border. So the diagram on the left highlights Newcastle, where we're located, but Newcastle as a city is really accessible across all of the UK, really. So we're about 3 hours to London, a similar time to Liverpool and Manchester. We're about an hour and a half to Edinburgh and Glasgow. We've got an international airport that can link you all across Europe. So you can get to Northern Ireland, for example, in 35 minutes, or mainland Europe, places like Amsterdam in an hour. We have got a brilliant train service, obviously, that I've described, but within Newcastle as well, the airport is linked to the city by a metro. So you can get straight out on the metro to the international airport and to destinations across Europe and the globe as well. But Newcastle as a city is a very small city, but the university plays a really important part within it. We've got 2 universities in Newcastle, so it's a very student-friendly place to study. The top picture on the right is the kind of the traditional red brick campus of Newcastle University, where the business school used to be located, or as the subject groups used to be located. But nowadays we're based in the Helix site, which is a £350 million site, which has a range of buildings and companies based out of them. So we've got the business school. We've also got the urban sciences building, which is our school of computing. The Frederick Douglass Centre, which is a teaching space used by the business school and other parts of the university. But we've also got a range of kind of startup hubs, spaces for SME companies and larger companies. The Catalyst, which is highlighted in that picture, is also the National Centre of Data and the National Centre of Aging for the UK. So it's a really exciting place to learn and start to develop your career, because you'll have all sorts of industry links literally on our doorstep. If you're interested in hearing more about this, I would suggest watching the previous webinar that my colleague Jacqueline Wright held. It will be available on YouTube, and we can share links to that if you would like it. And then here's a picture of the business school on the left. That is our building. We are directly across the road from St James's Park, which is Newcastle United's football ground. And this part of the city has been going through regeneration for a number of years now. So it is a really exciting place to study. And then a little bit about, just to kind of back up what I've been saying, the The city itself is top 10 for affordability in the UK. So Newcastle is a really affordable place to study. Um, and it's top 40 in the world and top five in the UK as a student city to live. But hopefully our alumni will give you some insights into what that looks and feels like as a student studying here in Newcastle. And then focusing on our reputation. So obviously, if you do choose to come here, you're coming to a founding member of the Russell Group. So one of 25 research intensive and world leading UK based universities, but also as a business school, we are triple accredited. So only 1% of business schools across the globe are triple accredited. So they have our accreditations from Equus, AMBA, and AACSB. So what that basically means is we have to go through these reaccreditation periods every 3 years. So we get reviewed by external kind of awarding bodies to make sure what we're doing is up to a certain standard. So hopefully that just gives a bit of reassurance into the type of education that you could get from us here at Newcastle. And then rankings, again, really important for the degree that you will decide to do. We are top 110 globally ranked university with the QS. We have 5 QS stars for teaching. We have a range of other QS stars for inclusiveness, facilities, sustainable development, teaching. So again, it just kind of demonstrates the level of education you would get if you choose to come to Newcastle University Business School. And finally, I think from me, just an overview of some of our programs. Appreciate some people will be offer holders, so they'll know exactly what program they're doing, but I think we've invited some prospective applicants as well. So this is our suite of programs broken into different subject groups. I'm not going to talk through all of them, but if you want further information or a more detailed individual conversation about your circumstance, reach out to the recruitment team and we'll be able to kind of talk through, right, this is what this program is and why it's different to another program and what you can maybe expect from each of them so you can help make the most informed decision as possible, because we really do appreciate this is a big decision for you in terms of your professional and personal development, choosing what university to come to. And that leads me nicely into handing over to Chris from our alumni team. Chris, do you want me to stop sharing my screen and you share yours so you can click through the slides?
Yeah, we can do.
There you go. While Chris shares his screen, I did ask, but when people were joining, could everybody just put where they're logging in from across the world? It's really interesting to see where we're getting people live on the call from. You can just type it in the chat box, and I'll hand over to Chris now.
As well. Yes, so we're just going to go through a couple of short benefits for alumni before we jump into the panel. So my name is Chris Roberts. I'm the Alumni Relations Manager here at Newcastle University Business School. We also have Rebecca McEwen, who's the Alumni Engagement Assistant, and we're basically your alumni team. To go through a couple of alumni benefits, first of all, as alumni, you are part of a global community of 33,000 alumni that we have around the world, spanning 5 continents and 137 countries. You also get invitations to virtual and in-person events that are located around the world as well. And I've included some of these below, but I'd like to note that these 2 photos were taken a few months ago in Shanghai and in Beijing. The guy in the middle is our Vice Chancellor. So we run events like alumni dinners recently in China. This is the In Conversation event with the Vice Chancellor and President, as I say, Shanghai and Beijing. If you look really carefully at the very back on the right, you can see my smiling little face in there as well, if you're interested in doing that. We also have a Dean's visit to Mumbai coming up in the next few months. Next few weeks even. We have faculty visits and staff members who travel around the world, places like the US, Malaysia, and Singapore. We've run alumni summer social events in London, and we have some networking events as well. And then our alumni themselves run chapter events as well at different places in the world. So you can see that we do a lot of different events, and you get a lot of invitations to these if you were to study at Newcastle and become an alumni of the business school. On top of events, you can also continue to access free award-winning career support for up to 3 years after graduating. If you're interested in starting a business yourself, you can access support from our startup team for 3 years after graduating as well. As an interesting perk, if you're based locally once you've graduated, on-site event spaces are available to alumni free of charge to hire, which is really interesting. You can obviously get discounts for further study, executive education courses and things like that. And then just stay in touch through future events and remain part of the business school community. We often invite alumni back to speak to current students. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, that's something that's available to you as well. And without further ado, let's jump into our panel. Let me read, this is who our panelists are. What I'm going to do is unshare my screen now. So we should have, I think Gaurangi and Lydia are both on the call. We did have one extra panelist, Jessica. Jessica, are you in this group at the moment? I don't think Jessica's here, but just in case. Give a minute to respond. No, so it looks like we have two panelists for this session. Thank you to Gaurangi and Lydia. Really appreciate you being here. How are you guys doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Are you?
Very well, thank you very much.
You're good.
I'm good too. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thanks very much. Why don't we dive straight into it? Could I ask, we'll start with you, Gaurangi, if that's all right. Why don't you introduce yourself, tell us what you studied at NUBS and when you graduated as well.
Okay. So yeah, I'm Gaurangi. I studied international business management from Newcastle University Business School, and I graduated last September.
Thanks for that. Lydia, can we jump over to you?
Yes, I'm Lydia, so I'm based in Manchester today, and I graduated in September 2021, so about 2.5 years ago now, and I did a master's in global human resource management.
Cool. Thanks for that. Lydia, we'll stick with you for the first actual question, if that's all right. The question is, what were your main considerations when you were choosing somewhere to study, and ultimately, why did you choose NUBS?
So I originally did an undergraduate degree at Newcastle University, and that was in psychology, and I really enjoyed that, but I sort of decided psychology was not the route for me. I'd previously done A-levels, so college in business studies, but I just decided when I did my undergrad that I was more suited to psychology, whereas actually when I finished psychology, I thought actually I still did enjoy the business side of psychology. I enjoyed like social psychology, the study of people, and I thought business with psychology, human resource management. And I love the city, Newcastle. Newcastle's one of my favourite cities. Like we said, it's cheap. It's got great facilities. Everything's all in one place. You can walk everywhere. And the business school I particularly loved because it's almost like there's so many like different libraries and different areas of the business school. Like I found when I was in the central Newcastle University, really, really busy. The library was always full. Maybe not as personalized. I would definitely say my master's experience was more personalized compared to my undergrad. And I think that's just because the business school itself has sort of like that separate community. There's so many different cultures and different people that attend the business school, and I really enjoyed getting to know lots of different people and broadening my community and network.
I'm going to ask you a follow-up on that, if that's all right, before I go over to you, Gaurangi. I'm really interested in that. I think we probably have some people on here who've done their undergraduate degree in a subject that they're not sure they're going to go and kind of work in later. I think that happens to a lot of people. Did you find doing a business master's helped when you were taking sort of the next steps to know what you wanted to do and then to get into that area?
Definitely, yeah. So I think it's a question later on, but so at the moment, I work for the Bank Santander. So I work, I'm a HR project partner, but I actually started working for them during my master's. And I know from that job and when they first reached out to me, I would not have got the opportunity if I didn't have my master's. So I think the master's brought a lot of opportunities for me that I definitely would not have had with just my undergrad degree.
Thanks for that. Gaurangi, we'll come over to you. What were your considerations when you were choosing a business school, and let's say, why did you choose NUBS?
I think some of the points have already been covered by Paul. So definitely the ranking was a major part for me. The other part was triple accreditation because only few of the business schools in the world had that triple crown, and Newcastle University Business School obviously had held that, which made my confidence even more in choosing Newcastle University Business School. The other point was affordability. Newcastle is very affordable, considering that I was going to be a student again. Being budget friendly was one of the main concerns for me, and Newcastle University, in fact the Newcastle city was really helpful, and the rents are affordable, the student services are cheap, food is affordable. That were also the points that helped me make this decision. The last thing that stand out for me was active engagement from Newcastle University. I had some other offers from other universities as well, but the efforts that Newcastle University made to being made aware by them and being prepared, that was something that was really helpful for me to decide.
Thanks. I like that. We've got kind of two very different perspectives there. One kind of on the study progression side and one on the really practical side. So that's really useful. Thanks for that. Lydia, I'll come back to you for the next question, if that's all right. What would you say were the highlights of your time here? And was there anything kind of in the program that you particularly enjoyed as well?
Oh, yeah, program wise, I would say I liked like the practicality of the program. So I feel like everything we studied, we applied to a business, or we weren't just sort of memorizing information, everything had a purpose. So one example I remember was we basically all created our own like recruiting firms, and we had to do a presentation and like a business pitch. And again, that was really good because it sort of tested our knowledge of recruitment and talent, but also it was a fun, almost like competition between all of my team members. So really enjoyed that. And also my dissertation, but I feel like it wasn't called a dissertation, but my end project, that was again practical. So I actually got to work with an organization and carry out research within an organization on basically how to improve their performance management system. So I think I loved that I was actually doing something impactful. And like I said, I had that practical element. And then I was also learning alongside that, and I could take learnings from that project that were actually relevant to real life. So yeah, those my two highlights.
I like that, because I think one of the things that people worry about when they're starting a master's is what the dissertation is going to be like. But obviously you just said that's one of your favorite things. So it's kind of a different way of looking at it, isn't it? Something to look forward to.
Yes, definitely.
Garangi, how about you? What were your sort of highlights?
Actually, coincidentally, I also like the practical aspect of my course as well. So I had this module which was business simulation, and if people are here from IBM course, they will know later that we were made to compete with other groups. We had to handle a virtual mobile company where everybody was competing on getting their market share and making more profits. There were many nuances to it. So that was really exciting because everybody was working together, but at the same time they were in a competition as well. And then there were healthy discussions around it. Everybody was discussing all the modules that we had studied earlier. They were all playing a part in that particular module. So that was a really helpful module, and it really made me realize how the actual world will be like. And it was just very exciting.
I'll stick with you, Greg. Sorry for the next question. We've talked about the positive side. Were there any challenges that you faced during the time you were here, and kind of how did you overcome them?
Okay, so as an international student, the first challenge that I think most of us face is the difference of education system. Because back in India, I had a different kind of education system. The expectations from a student were different in India as compared to here. So the struggle that I faced was that I didn't know what my teachers are expecting out of me, or my assignment, or my exam paper, or how do I study, how do I make notes out of it. So that was something that was a basic challenge for me. But how I overcome this was, there were many library resources, and I can't vouch for them enough. That library resources are very, very helpful. The moment you start studying, the moment you join your course, just look because the university has a lot of resources for you to help you, and you just have to look for it. And then there were, videos on how to make notes, how to study, how to attend a lecture as well, how to read research papers, how to access library. So my recommendation would be to just go through those things. That will make your journey a bit easier, and after some time you'll get the knack of it.
Thanks for that. We'll just note Jessica is on the call right now, which is having some trouble hearing. So if we can get her connected, she'll jump in and she can reduce stuff. If not, we'll just carry on as we are, if that's okay with everyone. Lydia, how about you? What were the challenges from your side?
Oh, challenges. Do I say that there wasn't any challenges?
Fine with me, yeah.
I'm trying to think what challenges. I guess the workload. I would say there was definitely more work in my master's compared to my undergrad, which I guess you would expect because it's a year long. But yeah, as long as you manage your time effectively, and like we just said, like the lecturers and your peers are there at all times to help you. Like throughout my whole journey doing my master's, I knew I could message any of my lecturers, any of my peers, and they'd be there to help me. And I was never alone. So yeah.
No, I think that's really positive as well. I think it's useful for people to know that the workload's going to be quite high, and you have to manage your time. So yeah, cheers for that. Let's move on to the city itself. Let's talk about Newcastle. Lydia, I'll stick with you first. What was your experience living in Newcastle?
I love Newcastle. I was even back this last weekend. I love it that much. It's so great. I mean, you can walk everywhere. The locals are super, super friendly. The food's good. The drinks
What
are
would you say the
good.
highlights are? If you were talking to someone who's going to come to Newcastle for the first time, like we've probably got on this call, what should they do? What sort of things should they do?
Oh, good question.
Recommendations.
They should go to the football stadium. See, I don't like football, but I've been to the football stadium and I watched a game, Newcastle v Leeds. Great atmosphere. They should go to a gig. There's lots of live music venues. They should go to the races. There's horse racing as well. Again, not far.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. Tynemouth is the beach. So that's great as well. It's like 20 minutes from the centre. You can travel out to the sea. So you're always near nature. Yeah, there's so much to do. Shopping, there's a metro centre, there's a big shopping centre.
The beach is a big one for me. As Paul knows, I've recently moved back to the northeast from London, and I miss the beach so much. It's so nice to have that just on your doorstep.
It is, truly. Yeah, I went at the weekend and I was like, I just love time off. So being in Manchester at the moment, it's very rainy and grey. So I'm missing the northeast and being near the sea.
Make it sound like it doesn't rain in the northeast.
No, honestly, not as much as Manchester.
Fair enough. Garangi, how about you? What are your highlights in Newcastle? What would you tell somebody to do in Newcastle?
Actually, yeah, beach is one of the topmost things that everybody can say about. The other thing is, I think Quayside Walk was very good for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, going to the quayside, walking alongside River Tyne, with some guitar playing randomly, and getting a good coffee from Picture and Piano. That was the kind of thing that I really, really liked. Fortunately, I was living really close to the quayside, so I used to just, take some breaks and go to quayside, have my book with me and read there. That was the thing that I really, really liked. And then getting some good pizza from Ice Cream for Pizza, I think it is. So that's a good pizza there. And the other thing was, I think Oosburn is also a very good place to hang out. I absolutely love going to Oosburn because there are some cool cafes there. The vibe is really good. There's some artisty, cute stuff if people are into that as well. So that was something that will definitely help you, take your brain off, especially during the weekend, and off your business assignments that you would mostly spend your time with. But those are the things I would definitely recommend.
I can't believe neither of you mentioned kind of the pubs or anything like that either. I think Newcastle's famous for it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Pubs, of
lots
course.
of pubs. Yeah.
We're avoiding that one. Okay, we're going to avoid that one. That's fine. But Newcastle's famous for its nightlife. Let's just say, let's leave it at that. Lydia, I'll come back to you. You kind of half answered some of this already, but do you have any standout memories of your time for your masters?
I think, yeah, my dissertation probably, yeah. Yeah, that's probably it. That's my standout. Yeah.
What's your dissertation on?
It was on improving the performance management system at Changing Lives. So Changing Lives are like a Newcastle-based organisation. So I actually did my dissertation with a partner as well. So we both went in to the Changing Life office for the day and did like a focus group with the managers there, and then basically collated and analysed the data and then gave our recommendations at the end. So yeah.
Changing Lives are a charity, aren't they?
Yes,
Right.
yeah.
That's
So
quite
yeah,
nice.
it was very, I say it was rewarding. Don't actually know if they used any of my recommendations, but I like to think that they did.
Yeah, you get to go into a charity and you get to kind of make some observations and make recommendations
Yes.
for improvement.
Oh,
That's
and my
really nice.
graduation, of course. The graduation was beautiful. It was in the old hall, I think it is, something in Newcastle. And yeah, what a great day. A great day.
I think
Sorry, how about you?
just to jump in, sorry, Lydia, because I know the guys at Changing Life with Matt and things like that. He doesn't work there anymore, but they did use your recommendations because I can remember them.
Really?
Yeah, they
Oh.
did because I can remember talking to them about a year ago that they'd used recommendations. I'm making an assumption, but they used recommendations from a dissertation that a group of GHRM students worked with them on, so it must have been.
Well, I might have to do a LinkedIn post later then and make my claim to fame.
I think that's such a good insight though, because I mean, it just goes to show you get paired up with you can go and work with a charity, you can make some recommendations, and that, you don't want to overblow it too much, but that actually impacts people as well. So that is probably pretty rewarding, I imagine.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Garangi, how about you? What standout memories do you have?
I think working during the seminars, having good discussions with, my friends and listening to different point of views and then, thinking out loud. Those were the things that I really, really enjoyed. And other than that, again, my dissertation was also a big part of it because I remember going to the libraries, being there for like 12 hours straight and then studying and then seeing everybody in the same zone as well. That was something that though you remember it later, at the time it was really painful for sure. But such things really stand out when you see after some time.
What was your dissertation on?
So I worked with Virgin Money, and my suggestions were how to improve SMEs business as well. So I worked closely with Virgin Money for my dissertation.
Nice. That gives quite a nice overview of the types of organizations you guys work with on dissertations as well. You've got a charity on one side and you've got Virgin Money, and obviously business on the other side. That's quite nice. Let's talk about networks and things like that. I mean, do you think networking is an important part of business school? And I'm interested to know, are you guys in touch with people that you came to NUBS with? Garangi, we'll start with you.
Okay. I think the one thing that I really liked about the business school was that they always, made opportunities just so that people can network. Every now and then there were some networking events, and I got in touch with many good contacts through those events. And they also made sure that every classmate also, connects with each other and talks with each other, which is really good because I know some of the courses where they didn't talk or they didn't know anybody from their course. But I know a lot of people from my course. I'm in touch with people in London. I'm in touch with people back in China, in India, and I don't think I've said this, but I'm currently in Newcastle, and I have many friends here in Newcastle as well. So definitely networking is an important part. Mainly if you are going for a business school, you are going for a management degree, and at the same time, it really helps here. So yeah, that's my answer.
Cheers for that, Lydia.
Yes, yeah, I agree. So I'm probably in touch with like 10 people from my course, I think, but I've got everyone on LinkedIn as well. So still in touch with different people on there. And I think so after I finished my degree as well, the organisation that I worked with, Changing Lives, they then actually offered me 2 job opportunities like after I finished university. I didn't take them because I had other offers. But I think that just goes to show that during my time in the business school, I created a network where I was being approached for jobs. So yeah, that's a big positive.
Good stuff. 10's pretty good. I don't think I know 10 people, to be honest with you. Like, I think 10 isn't bad.
I'm a social butterfly. I'm a social.
Fair enough. All right, let's talk about what you do now. Lydia, we'll stick with you. I know you've mentioned, you've kind of touched on it already. Talk us through what it is you're doing now and how things have gone since you graduated as well.
Yes, so I currently work for Santander, the bank. So I worked for them part-time, like a couple days a week during my masters, doing sort of like admin, HR activities. And then after I finished my masters, I started full-time employment with them. So I've had probably like 3 different roles with them over like the past 2 years. So again, started as admin, then I was a HR consultant, and now I'm a HR project partner, so sort of like a project manager for HR activities. And I will say sort of everything that I learned throughout my masters in HR, I have actually been able to apply in the workplace. So things such as like employment law, policy guidance, how to write a report, how to use data to drive decisions. I've been able to apply all of that into my job now. And I would say a lot of my colleagues look at my masters and educational history at Newcastle University in a positive manner and a positive light. So yeah, nothing but positivity since graduating from Newcastle Business School.
That's quite a nice perspective you just said. I think what happens for a lot of people is that they do their undergraduate with a sort of vague idea or no idea of what they want to do when they come to the end of it. It sounds like you've sort of not done that completely, but by the time you got to your undergrad, you had an idea of where you wanted to go, and then you supplemented that with the really specific master's program that's led to where you are now. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah.
Cool. Garangi, do you want to answer that one as well, or is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I'll take that. So I'm working as a marketing coordinator in one of the charities in Newcastle, which is a heritage building. And during my masters, I thought that I always found marketing assignments to be really, interesting, and I was always really into it. So that's when I decided that I should try my, some options in the marketing, and that's how I got landed with this job as well. And I really enjoy working here. As Lydia mentioned, that I also apply many things that I've learned in my business school, maybe not related to the course completely, but the other things, the soft aspects that you learn over the period of time, I have been applying that here. And maybe the networking part of it is also a huge part here. So yeah, that's what I do.
Thanks for that. I've got one last question for both of you. I'm just going to ask for a sort of general anything you want to share. But before I do that, just to let you guys know, Jessica tried her best to get onto the call. Her headset just wouldn't work. She couldn't hear us. She's based in Shanghai. It's kind of sometimes difficult to connect. Just one of those things. But she sends her apologies. And sorry about that. So yeah, final question. Garangi, I'll stick with you if that's all right. Basically, is there anything else you'd like to add that you'd like people to know? Or if you were speaking to yourself when you were making your decision, kind of deciding where to go, what is it do you think you would say?
If I look at back, I think I'm happy with the decision that I made. I don't think there's anything that I would want to add, because I was convinced at that time that I have to go to Newcastle, and I'm still very much convinced with my decision that it went really well. So I think there's nothing more that I can add. Yeah.
That's what I want to hear. Lydia, do you want to do?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I'm happy with all of the decisions that I've made. And I think probably when I first made my application to the business school, I actually wasn't 100% sure. And I was like, I'm not really sure, is this the right route for me? But I think once I got onto the course and everyone was so super friendly, like that just made my experience great. And I think it's great that now I've got lots of different contacts, and I know I can speak to any of my past lecturers via email still, and they'll support me, give me a reference, etc. So yeah, all good.
Oh, thanks for that. So we're finishing a little bit early here because obviously we're down a panelist, but I think we've got the next 5 or 10 minutes. If there are any questions from anybody who's on the call, you can either raise your hand, you can pop it in the chat if you want to ask a question that way, or you can unmute yourself if you're feeling brave. I think we'll give it a few minutes and maybe take some questions. So if anyone doesn't have any questions, feel free to ask from now.
Feel free to add me on LinkedIn, everyone, and give me a question on there.
Yeah, do that as
Grow
well.
my network.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question just about the careers support? Rongi, I know you worked a lot with the careers team. I don't know if you wanted to share what that experience was like, and any insights to the kind of support that students can gain from our careers team in particular if they choose to come here.
Oh, yes. So I have had great support from the careers team during my course. I was constantly in touch with them, and they help you with the CV writing to which jobs you should apply for, how your cover letter should look like, or how does your resume impact the job maker's decision as well. So I was in constant touch with the careers team, and I was just sharing it before this session that they became kind of my mentors, my friends, who always used to help me and support me with the things that were happening in the business school and how they will affect me in my job afterwards. So I had a huge help from them, and I can't vouch enough for them that it was really helpful. So my suggestion would be, just whenever you come to the business school, within your 1 or 2 weeks, once you have sorted your groceries and your living, just sign up for the careers site website and just get in touch with anybody, and they will really help you throughout.
Thanks for that. That's what we want to hear. I think we'll maybe give it 1 more minute. So if anyone does have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or pop your question in the chat and we can relay it that way. Regarding portals, can you please help me out in understanding how many portals are there for NUBS? Oh,
Portals or program? Do you mean programs?
I'm not completely sure. Tress, do you mean programs? It's a student portal.
Yeah, we've got a question here now, and it's if you could have an opinion of option of going back and restarting the course. So if you had a time machine, what advice would you give to an incoming student for the business school? You kind of touched on that, but I guess if you want to think about that one again.
Speak to as many people as you can, get to know as many people as you can, be interactive in lectures, in seminars. No question is a stupid question. Always join in, like you learn by being involved and speaking to people.
Tress, I'm not sure if we understand the question. So what I'm going to do is pop my email address in the chat for you. Make a note of that. Send me an email afterwards, and I'll try and answer your question that way, if that's okay.
And Grangi, what about you with that question? If you could go back.
I think, yeah, it's the same. Interact with as many people as you can, because so business school, as I said earlier, they make you talk to people, which is very much necessary. So it's better you do it on your own. You be open to interacting with people and talking about different things, different topics, because that will really make you outshine, and at the same time it will help you in your seminars and your assignments as well. So yeah, that would be my number one advice.
When you studied here at one of the postgraduate programs, did you use the 5th floor social space a lot? The space where postgraduates can use? Yeah, there's a dedicated area.
I was always there, actually.
Yeah.
Even between the lecture times, I was always there having a coffee, chit-chatting with my classmates, or discussing some seminar that is upcoming, and everybody is just discussing how to handle that.
Yeah, so there's lots of areas for that kind of social interaction between people on the program at the business school, I guess.
We've got another question here. Approximately how much course contact time would you allocate for a typical week? Either of you want to answer that one?
Oh, it's a full-time job, guys. Full-time job. 9 to 5 every day.
think that's fair.
No,
Yeah,
not
but
really.
it really is, right? It's
Yeah.
different, isn't it, to an undergraduate in the sense that
Yeah,
it is like full
yeah,
on.
it's like, I mean, you can structure it how you want, but I would try and do like it was a job. So try and do like 9 till 5, go to a library after a lecture. So yeah.
I had a different experience. I was an all-nighter sometimes. I have seen many sunrises during my assignments time. So yeah, definitely stick to the 9 to 5 one if you are really if you can't really be up at night. Otherwise, I preferred the silence at the night. Yeah.
What's that? Maybe give it a little bit more time to see if any more questions come through.
But on it, like you can officially find out how much course contact time you have per program if that's something you're interested in. So you can see the breakdown of lectures and seminars per week. But each week in the UK, you'd have a mixture of large in-person lectures. So you could have up to 100 people in a large room getting a talk on a certain topic, and then smaller group-based seminars, which we call in the UK is kind of like 15 to 20 people in a room with a teacher just explaining something or doing more group-based interactive type work. It all varies per program and the type of content that's getting delivered. But there's a huge amount of extracurricular support, so kind of on the careers side of things that you can access as well. So we've got a range of skills development workshops. So for example, you could learn stuff like Tableau, which is a data visualization program. So you could learn that, Photoshop, all of these different types of things. So if there's skills that you want, and we put on these skill sessions based off what employers in the industry are telling us that they need. And we host these sessions throughout the year, so you can kind of add extra contact time that way. So you can kind of balance out your weeks. I think there's another question, Chris, if you want to.
Yeah, sure. So the next question is, what courses from the program best prepared you for your careers, respectively? So each of you.
I would like to
Yes,
take that.
modules. Which modules?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that you should be open to every module because every module will teach you one thing, even if it's not something that you can actually apply in your career or the practical market. But at the same time, it will teach you things like, how to talk to people or maybe how to handle a very critical situation under pressure and stuff. So I don't think I can pinpoint to 1 or 2 modules. But yeah, the business simulation one was really related to the practical world out there. But at the same time, I think every module is very important and you should be open about every module.
Yes, I'm trying to think back as to what modules I did. I think most useful, anything around like the use of data and reporting. I feel like in the world of business and in a corporate world, everything is now data driven and MI driven. And then also anything to do with digital and technology. Again, I feel like most corporate businesses are trying to be more digital first. So any modules to do with that.
Thanks for that. Paul, Shreyas has come back in the chat. Can I get you to have a look at that one? I think you might be best placed to answer that question.
I think it's direct chat. It's not come up for me.
How is it? So words wanted to know when I will receive my CAS, as I've already received the unconditional letter and I'm waiting for the CAS so that I can apply for the visa. Yeah,
so it's these are all individual kind of questions that are probably best answered directly with the recruitment team. So Shreyas, if you drop, Chris has left his email there already. He'll be able to put you in touch with the recruitment team just to give you the guidance, if that's okay. Or you can drop your email in here and we'll message you, whatever works best.
We might have time for one more. Maybe we'll give it a few more seconds, see if anything else comes through. Do we get an option of choosing electives? Paul?
Yeah, you can. It depends on your program, what that looks like, and what's kind of available. So again, we would kind of go into at a individual program level, what kind of electives that you might want to do. We don't have any with other kind of schools at the minute. But as well as electives, we've also got opportunities to do like semesters abroad. So like at the end of your master's program, you could do another semester at a partner university of ours, for example, across Europe. You can go study from September to December with them as well, if you're interested. So I'm just going to load up, for example, well, Grangi, you had optional modules on international business management, right?
Yes. In fact, I had an international experience module where I was selected for a business school in France to study some entrepreneurial aspects of my course. So those options are also there, specifically in my course, it was there. So you have to apply for it and share that you are interested, and then follow the procedures ahead.
Yeah. So for example, management's quite a generalist still like topic, I guess. Though some people would argue that as well. Within that, the program, there's core modules that every student will do, and then there was optional modules, for example, international marketing, global perspectives on human resource management, entrepreneurship, managing change in organizations. So it allows you to kind of tailor that experience to what you're hoping to do after you finish the program. And the same principle, it does apply for some other programs as well. But if you want to email the recruitment team, we'll be able to kind of answer at an individual program level for you.
What I would say as well is, obviously I put my email in the chat. If anyone wants to make a note of that, and if you have any questions, just drop me a message. And if I can't answer it, I'll be able to put you in touch with the right people. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, there's the school's recruitment email as well. So
cheers. We'll leave this on for just a minute, so if anyone does want to make a note of those email addresses. But let me just say thank you to Garangi and Lydia for joining. Thank you to Jessica as well, who I know came on and then couldn't get it to work and then dropped off again. We appreciate you giving your time, and I'm glad you all had really good experiences at Newcastle.
Thank you so much for calling us.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'll stay on for a little bit. I'll leave it live, just so you guys can make a note of those email addresses. Otherwise, unless there's anything else, Paul, you would like to add?
nope, thank you.
Well, good. Hope you'll enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you guys at Newcastle at some point in the future.
Thanks,
Sure.
everyone.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.